Are you ready for another sketch challenge? Hello everyone, Miss Carrie here. Today I have a playful vacation page design to share with you, inspired by a Hip Kit sketch. This month I've had the opportunity to create with the June Hip Kits. On my previous project I used the main kit. Today I'm using a few more pieces from that collection, and I'm going to add some items from the June embellishment kit. The Getting Around Town kit has a new color palette that's unique to Hip Kit. It's perfect for vacation and everyday photos. The June embellishment kit coordinates perfectly with the main kit. You receive a set of die cuts that build a skyline scene. I love all the layered pieces in this pack. You also receive a set of mini puffy stickers, silver foil stickers, cardstock and foam phrases, and a collection of cardstock and vellum die-cut tags with silver foil accents. Not only will I be using the main kit and embellishment kit, I will also be working with a cut file. This is what the original Hip Kit cut file looks like. Subscribers of the Hip Kit Club can download this as part of their monthly kit. This airplane image has some great details, but I wanted to scale it down, and this is what happened to the stitching elements. Unfortunately, they did not cut very well at this size, so I used my contour tool in Design Space to remove the stitching images. On this channel, I have posted a video that explains how to remove the parts of a cut file image with the Cricut contour tool. I'll add a link to that video in the description below, along with the list of supplies I'm using today. The scrapbook design I'm creating will be based on the July challenge sketch from the Hip Kit Club group. This challenge is open to members in the group, and the monthly winner receives a gift voucher to the Hip Kit site. As you can see, there are 3 circles on here, so I've cut 3 of these airplane images to replicate those circle designs. I'm going to use these to create shaker elements for my background. I can't wait to show you how these come together. I'm recording a memory of moms and daughters sitting on an airplane excited for a big trip together. I wanted this page to have an airy and whimsical feel, so I selected a light color for the frame, and I'm going to place this "It's a Sign" pattern in the center. With my Cricut, I cut some shaker frames to place over the airplane images. This is how the original sketch is designed, but I'm going to rotate it so that the circles sit over here. Instead of a mixed media element, I'm going to add a floral pattern strip, and my photo will sit over here on the left side of the page. I do want to replicate the look of elements moving on the page, like those stars that are falling in the sketch. I'm going to do this with some sun rays. This stencil is part of the June Color Kit collection. Instead of using it like a traditional stencil, I'm going to use it like a stitching template. I enjoy adding texture to my pages with embroidery thread, and these lines are spaced perfectly apart. After drawing the lines with a pencil, I use my die removal tool to poke holes at the top and bottom of each line. These are all going to start under the center shaker element and lead right over to the photo. I have erased the lines, and now I'm adding some long lines of stitching with 6 strands of white embroidery thread. As I add these stitches, I want to share a few other alternatives for this design. Of course, you can use that stencil to bring in some mixed media. That's always a fun choice. You could also use the arrow rub-on transfers that are in the kit. You could do some marker lines, use some pens, create some lines with ribbon or twine. If you like the look of embroidery thread, you can mix it up by using another color or bringing in a mix of colors and create a summer rainbow or an alternating pattern. There are so many possibilities with this type of design. Off camera, I finished the stitching lines and used my sewing machine to create a frame around the page. I also added some rows of stitching on the floral strip. There is a gap up here because I wanted the blue floral to sit at the top and bottom of the page. That gap will be hidden by one of the shakers. Speaking of shakers, let me show you how to create one of these. The airplane circles were cut from Koi cardstock, and I'm placing them over some circles that I cut from Quiet Blue. The airplane, circles, frames, and these acetate pieces were all cut with my Cricut machine. Cricut acetate has a protective cover on the front and back. This prevents it from getting scratched while it's cutting. I'm going to adhere the acetate to my frame. This was cut from the softer gray cardstock in the kit. When I'm creating shaker windows, I like to add some stationery pieces. So I'm going to place some of the silver foil puffy stickers around the airplanes. These are going to add a little bit of decoration to the inside of the shakers, and they will hold some of those little bits in place. On the back side of the frame, I'm going to add a thin piece of foam tape. This is about 1/4 inch thick. If you don't like bulky scrapbook pages, you can create a faux shaker. Instead of adding foam and acetate, simply adhere your shaker bits to that airplane background and make it look like a shaker. I've made multiple cards and shaker pages this way. In the center of the back piece, I'm going to place some random elements that match my page. I have some beads, sequins, and little flowers. Once these are in place, I'll lay my shaker frame over the top. Off camera, I adhered the shaker frames in place and added a blue frame around each one of them. How cute are those? This is such a fun vacation element, isn't it? Now I'm going to bring in the torn notebook edge die and create a frame for my photo. This die is open-ended at the top, which means you can add that notebook edge to any size of paper, and it will not cut a flat edge like a border. I love the stitching details on this. I'm going to use it at the top of the frame as well. Instead of cutting the torn notebook pattern at the top, I'm just adding this stitching detail. After securing the die in place, I'm going to sit my top plate just past that stitching line. As I run this through my machine, the part of the die with the notebook edge won't have any pressure on it, so it won't cut. I just get this great line of stitching. On the back of this frame, I'm adding a little pocket for journaling. This is cut a little larger than the tag with adhesive on 3 sides. The little tag slides right in, and it's the perfect spot for a story. Next to the journal tag, I wanted to add this phrase, boarding pass. Instead of tucking the entire tag under the photo, I just cut off the phrase, and I'm going to adhere it to the blue frame. This will give a nice layered look, and the tag will still be able to move. This next part took me way longer than it should have, so I'm going to skip through it rather quickly. With the puffy stickers, tags, vellum elements, and die cuts, I created clusters around those shaker pieces. I started with like color circles and clustered them together. I tried to avoid bringing any green to the page, so I layered a few pieces together to hide that color. Since I added the dark blue frame around my photo, I wanted to add some darker pieces over here too. I chose some die cuts and cut out some tag phrases for this space and layered them with some arrows and flowers. Honestly, it did feel a bit chaotic at first, but once I started to balance out the colors and shapes and brought a few of the elements over to the photo, things started to fall in place. At the base of the page, I brought in one of the large foam sticker titles. This dark blue helped tie everything together. Off camera, I realized that those silver circles were not working, so I removed them and added a little tab at the top. I'm also adding a small rub-on transfer phrase below the title. This says, "Enjoyed this." And I'm going to bring in some more of that light blue from the shakers with these little chevrons. I'm going to finish adding these to my layout, and then I'll share the completed page with you. Like I said earlier, this took way longer than I planned, but it did turn out pretty cute. Knowing the personalities of these three together, a whimsical page like this is a perfect way to tell the story. I'm going to bring that sketch back to the screen so that you can see what the challenge is for the month and how I used it. The design has 3 circles over a mixed media background with some sprinkled elements falling down. I chose to rotate the sketch, and I placed my circles over on the right with pattern paper and a mix of embellishments. Instead of sprinkling some elements downward, I used the sunburst stencil to create some lines that lead to my photo. It was a simple way to create movement on the page. The items I used today are part of the June Hip Kits. If you're a member of the Hip Kit Club, you save $5 on the main kit and 15% on coordinating items, which ship free with your main kit. You also have access to a library of cut files, like the airplane image I used today. If you'd like to learn more, I've added details in the description below. Don't forget to head over to the Hip Kit Facebook group and join this month's challenge for a chance to win a gift certificate to the Hip Kit site. For those of you who are already members, don't forget to add your entry to the comments of the challenge post before July 30th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope this project inspired you to try something new. If you have any questions about this project or the supplies I used, feel free to leave that in the comments below. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.